Present control and everything.
Oh.
Good evening and welcome to the regularly scheduled meeting of the Ulysses Town Board. It is May 23rd, 2023, and I will call this meeting to order at 7 p.m. May we please have a roll call?
Yes, you may. Mr. Boggs.
Present.
Mr. Goldman.
Here.
Ms. Olson.
Present.
Ms. Weatherby. Present. Ms. Bouchard. Present.
Thank you. Town Board has an agenda before them. Are there any, other than my font change, which I did not catch that it did not stick to the appropriate font? Is there anything else anybody needs added or altered? If not, then I'll accept a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Move to approve as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, thank you. Moving on to privilege of the floor. We invite the public to speak for up to 3 minutes on any subject they'd like. So I'll open up anybody present who would like to speak. Do you want?
I would love to.
Just a second, Pete. I'm going to give the room, someone in the room first, and then we go back and forth. Give
Great.
everybody a chance.
Well, I actually would like to speak after Pete, so if you want to go first.
I probably want a different topic.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that I sent an email and it was pretty late in the day, so 3:35 to the town board regarding some comment and a request I had to slightly modify one of the resolutions. And so I mean, I could go through the whole thing that I sent, or if you have it, I guess I'm just requesting that it gets taken up in the discussion. You want me to read it or?
I read it and
I didn't see it.
Oh.
When you read it.
I was just, well, basically, the request is just to modify the resolution on the comp plan. Steering committee. Voting members roster, I guess it's called, I don't know. And just include the mention of the outline document that the board passed in September, just for clarity, so that everybody, the public, you know, can see that, they can see the other one, they don't quite match, and so just having there be an acknowledgement and then a transition to how this is different, so that's what I was asking in the details.
thank you.
I can read it if you want the details, or when you get to it, if you want to ask me again, I can do it. Anyway, thank you.
Sounds good. Pete?
Hi, everybody. Good evening. I sent an email out last night and it had a little report from the JCA with an update on the ongoing project that we've had to install a restroom at the park. And we have been given some town funds for that over the last several years. And we put those to use with, pouring a pad, installing a tank. We are having a leach field put in, built the bathroom itself, built the structure. And it came to Nancy's attention that there is a county parks and rec grant that has a deadline of June 19th. And those are $5,000 awards, and they're for municipalities. And so we would like the town board to consider if we wrote the grant and for the town of Ulysses to submit it, with the intent that the JCA would use that grant to implement the next phase of our park improvement plan, which for this purpose would be installing electric to the pavilion and to the bathroom. We are going to meet with the contractor on Friday to begin to get an estimate for what that would cost. And we'd like to have that estimate before we submit the grant, obviously, before it comes before the town board on the 13th. Because if electric for the pavilion is too high, if it's sort of out of our price range for this grant, then we have some other, we have some other parts of the plan that we would use that money towards, namely extending an accessible path towards the David Pavilion that we buy the lawn. Currently, we are using some of the money that the town has granted us to install a leach field, and then after the leach field is installed, to install an accessible path and an accessible parking area near the flagpole. And so the path would go along the edge of the pavilion to the restroom, making the restroom accessible as well. So that's, in a nutshell, where we're at and what we're asking the town board to consider. And then the report that Nancy graciously put together contains more details about sort of our progress up to this point with the restroom, as well as future plans. But I would also invite any questions that town board members might have tonight or over the next couple of weeks. If questions come to mind, don't hesitate to contact me or to contact Nancy. And I'd also be happy to meet anybody out at the park and walk the park with you to kind of give you a visual of what we're doing and what our plans are. So it's been slow progress, but steady progress. So that's all I have to say. But like I said, I invite any questions, and I think Nancy might have something to add as well.
Thank you, Pete.
Mhm.
Go ahead, Nancy.
Yeah, I'm Nancy Saylor. I live in the town of Ulysses, and I'm also, full disclosure, I have newly become a member of the Jacksonville Community Association Board of Directors. And we did 2 years. I don't know if we have a revolving door policy, but it's not a highly lucrative position, but I have moved from liaison into the membership there. But really, I just wanted to really start by thanking all of you. I know the work that goes into providing service to the town, and you don't often hear thank yous, but I see what you're doing and I appreciate it. And just, I'm not going to elaborate more on what Pete said. He outlined sort of where we were headed, and just really want to echo that if the board is willing to consider this, and we'll be providing more details soon, it would be an opportunity for the town to be an applicant to bring $5,000 of county money to our community to help with the incremental improvements that were charted in a master plan done by Design Connect students, and a maintenance and accessibility plan done by Cortland students who we sort of found through Will Glennon, our rec director who teaches there. So, but we will be, as Pete said, we're sort of researching our options to figure out what piece of the next step would fit within a $5,000 budget and be reasonable to accomplish. So we're in the midst of trying to figure that out. The third thing that I wanted to do was a separate topic altogether, was actually say thank you to you in person for last year having adopted the flag policy. And I haven't looked at the particular wording of the resolution tonight in support of flying the pride flag, but I would urge you to support that. And to just say from a personal perspective how much it means to many of us that you've taken the step to say, we see you, we include you, and at this particular moment in time, to know that our community is supportive when the climate in other parts of the country are terrifying, is terrifying. To know that there is support here is personally important to me and a lot of to a lot of other people I know. And lastly, I just wanted to thank you for organizing the water information meeting. As somebody who lives on Route 96, I'll be coming to hear what again, this is one of those relay races where efforts start and then they continue, and I'll be curious to hear where you are on that, and if there are ways as a resident I can be helpful on that, I would be happy to do. So thanks again for your time and your service.
Thank you.
And it was less than 3 minutes, right?
You had 15 seconds left. Well done.
Amazing.
Oh, wait. I'll use that to just say I'm going to excuse myself by around 8 o'clock because we have a new puppy and I'm on duty.
Wonderful.
At another time.
Mhm.
It's a poodle mix with go to Roman Yoga. Most people have never heard of it. It's Italian water.
Okay, that brings us to the first item under old business, comp plan steering committee voting member roster. You should have provided with electronic copy of the roster, but I have a physical copy. I can't actually remember if I got you a physical copy tonight. I think I did not, but if you'd like to look at it. It is
Yeah.
right here. There's a physical copy.
I'm going to exclude myself as well. Thank you.
The scintillating meeting you're missing,
Yeah.
but thank you.
No, thanks.
Thoughts, comments from the board?
So
Questions?
this is where we currently stand
Yes,
in terms of members who have been appointed.
yes,
to date.
and there are categorizations within the process. And we had 6 members go through training on last Thursday. So that was it's the best turnout of a board, other than the town board. We got 80% turnout in the town board, which is very good.
So question on the village ones, as I
Mhm.
was going through that today. How much, when the village was doing theirs, I think we had a liaison or they extended something to us.
I don't know,
So-
that predates me.
Right, but so. I think why would we have a village people on the town?
And I don't think it's not anybody who's associated with the village board of trustees. She just lives in the village.
Oh, right, yeah, I get that. but
Okay.
it wouldn't
Well-
Have a,
And it's,
So the rationale for why we originally had a village liaison was so that because having incompatible zoning across boundaries doesn't work well. And we work closely with the village, and I think being in communication with them is a good idea. I reached out quite a while ago, probably 15 months ago, to the village board to see if they had any interest in participating from somebody on the board, and they rapidly absolutely said no, but I felt like it was at least, as they're part of the community. And I don't think we can reasonably develop a comp plan that ignores the existence of the village, and making sure we're in communication with them was the logic behind having a village liaison. And the individual we appointed was amenable to keeping the village updated as well. We also have Mary, obviously, as the town board liaison, so I think we all benefit from better communication. So that was the logic originally.
yeah, I think the liaison role would be better. Because again, not that we're gonna. Zone at odds to them, or plan at odds to them, this is very different village, the village zoning and plan is very different. Than we have in the town.
Right, but the comp plan's a lot more than just land use, but it's also a vision for our community
Right,
for the
yeah.
next 20 years,
Yeah.
and I think. I frankly, I think it'd be weird not to have somebody from the village. I mean, that's my personal opinion, but
Did you have a liaison to the village?
Yeah.
You know, for the.
Oh, for the
comp
comp plan?
For their comp plan, I don't think we did.
For their comp?
Yeah.
plan? I don't know. I don't think so.
but I could see they're a piece of us, like,
mhm.
so I could see how we might not be necessarily on their, like, liaison, have somebody sitting and reviewing their comp plan or ensuring that it's with the broader goals of the town. I mean,
We don't
But
have a
the vice
county,
versa.
right, we don't have a county
I
rep,
think
for
so.
instance, on ours.
right, so,
But the village is
Go down.
their government underneath. In theory, the town.
and I think Rose, who is listed as the liaison, also. She lived, I don't know, not too many of you. Does Rebecca live? Anybody else live in? the
Nobody
village?
else lives in the
Just
village.
Alice. She's the,
Well, the comp plan doesn't really, I mean, town. It's really the town outside the village comp plan.
Right, because the village has.
The village has their own.
Yeah,
I mean, to take up a seat on the committee. We're only gonna stick with 9, I don't know. And we talked the last time about expanding to 11.
Well,
Yeah,
that's a
what the
resolution.
The resolution
that-
is expanding it to
And
11.
there's still 2 spots
Right,
as of right now open. Right now we have 9. And we have 1 to the ag committee. That we're gonna look at, and then we have the Lake Shore opening still. So we've got. By the end of today, we can fill 10 of the 11 spots with everything that have been detailed in the September.
well, and Liz also brought up at the steering committee meeting. What people thought about having a size 11 board, and I think people seemed amenable to that.
Yeah, I don't think there was anybody
Yeah.
that was against it. Obviously more voices, there's more control, but I think overall we need the voices in this plan development.
And recognizing too, I think somebody brought up that, people have to be out of town at a given meeting, so you have a sizable number still participating, even if you have to miss kind of thing. So. And the attrition, I think Mo brought up, there's always the potential for attrition too. What you commit to
Right.
and 18 months down the road can be, incompatible.
Right, I mean, we're
So-
all planning on being here through the
Right.
whole thing, but. Can come up with any one of us, but. We don't have to then backstop, we just have other spots if we need. So,
I'm just apprehensive of. We approved this plan, but then we're expanding to the 11, because having served on the. Zoning update steering committee, we did expand, I think we were on it. Late in the game, I think.
By a lot.
Um,
very late.
No, yeah,
Yeah, but the whole scope, I think, expanded, I think is what caused that, because I think it's just, only in particular zones. Correct me if I'm wrong, but then we started adding other zones or something.
the committee was designed to be small, but because it was small, the concept was there were important stakeholder groups. And initially, they were not voting members, they were to hear from different perspectives. So that the smaller group could have wider information, but using our networks to provide information and support to the zoning committee. I personally at the time was an advocate for a bigger committee, and so it ended up being that. But it was intended to be small with key roles like link to the planning board, the zoning board. And I can't remember all the other specific seats,
I
but
can't remember how it
Yeah.
expanded and why it expanded. but-
because there were more perspectives to include, and the people who were on the stakeholder groups had a lot to contribute, and so we wanted to hear them. That's sort of my recollection of it, but I wasn't down it in the second half, which is when you were sitting.
Right, that's, I'm trying to get the brains together, so.
And we only have, I mean, the agenda or the outline that had been approved in September. At 9, right?
Mhm.
We're not doubling it, we're only increasing by 2. And these documents, to me, like using them from the other perspective and looking at them and reviewing them for projects. These are all living documents. As we get into the weeds of the comp plan, nothing should be considered firm, set. in stone.
Impermanent.
We
Yeah.
need to kind of have these a little flexible with allowing changes to occur, because what we think now, maybe something else happens in the next year where we need to focus our comp plan on something completely different that we haven't thought about before, or reaching out to the public in these public informational meetings, something else comes up and we're like, you know what, we really need like a student. I know we've talked about that before too. So they really, I think the increase for the 2 people that we're looking at are beneficial. I don't really think we want to go 15. That number starts sounding massive. I think 11 is a comfortable number. And we just need to be sure we're always looking and making sure we're staying on top of these documents as living documents and hopefully not changing them much. They're very good documents to use as a base, but just things can change, things come up and evolves.
Mhm.
I could expand a little bit on Nancy's head, because I was one of the groups that ended up getting put on there, and so each of those groups were asked for input, and then they gave it, but some of the groups, and I particularly remember the ag folks really felt like they were not being heard, and that they really should have a seat on the committee, and so I think that that was what started it, and I think that it's a good idea to early on have all the voices at the table, that, which is what you're trying to do right now, that rather than halfway through, because then there was already a lot of discomfort on the part of some groups, feeling that, it just made for it harder for that community to function. So I think it's good to do in the beginning.
Do we have any prospects for the attic?
Yes, then the next fixed appointment.
Oh, it is.
Yes,
Okay.
it's the next item on the agenda. I've got one.
And we have nobody from the lake yet?
Nope, not yet.
You could ask Butler. Because he's also the alternate to the BZA, and that would accomplish one stone, two stones.
If only we had a liaison to the BZA. Maybe that,
I can ask him,
that would be great. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, we can reach out.
because I think it's glaring that I know we decided to put the other planning board member on, because nobody from the BZA wanted to. But it's still glaring that there are two planning board members. Maybe that's appropriate anyway for a comprehensive plan.
Well, I think both of them are actually excellent, independent of being on the planning board. I think they're excellent contributors. Mo has plenty of experience actually working with these kinds of documents, so I think he's going to be a tremendous asset. And obviously Rebecca's reputation precedes her. So it'd be delightful if you wouldn't mind reaching out
I will.
to Tom. That would be great. I appreciate it.
And if you need me to follow up, I can follow up too.
Okay. Do you know Tom?
No,
Okay,
That doesn't stop.
I think
him.
he sat next to me.
He
in
did.
Training last week.
He did.
all right.
Yeah. He did.
Yes, for the ag, I think if you can, have a collection of those ag people and just send them the documents. Because like this, I think this person, they seem pretty weak as far as ag goes. They're like, I call it fantasy ag,
What is that?
Not
Fantasy.
Well, they bought some land and they decide they're gonna do
They-
something.
No,
Took their
there,
grandfather's,
yeah, this
Right,
is a
which
long
is very
time.
different.
which she wanted to preserve it, and when we can get to
Right,
that in a
right.
second.
But
We-
that's fine, but I think, like your husband's family, right? They have farmed for a very long
Yes,
time, or,
yeah.
the folks out towards the south into the town,
Yep.
they're serious farmers that you're not gonna get that perspective from somebody that bought their grandfather's. Land.
No, I can see that, and I definitely can talk my thoughts on that when we get to her recommendation. So I don't know if we need to do anything with this resolution.
Well,
Yeah.
if you want to do any edits to it, if you want to pass it, if you,
Well, we're gonna edit with Roxanne's recommended language about the tying into the September 27th.
Yep.
Outline,
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
fine with that.
Yeah.
was fine with the language.
But shouldn't we discuss this position before we approve the resolution? Or we just approving the resolution for 11 people?
it's just, yeah, that's what
Okay.
this is for the 11.
Mm.
So with that alteration, is there anyone willing to move this?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
Were we gonna make those edits?
Yes, with those edits.
Yeah.
being
With
made.
it, so it's both. I get that.
Yes, I have it.
Thank
She
you.
has it also.
Thank you for this.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. So the next, and I provided the applicant's application. Ty Basilis. The Basilis family has been multi-generational, is a multi-generational farming family. in the Willow Creek area, but I personally did not interview her, but have attended meetings with her. So I'm gonna pass it to Liz.
So Ty actually came to one of our first ag meetings with interest. She had just bought her grandparents' farm. She is looking to preserve it and continue the use of the farm as farmland. She is new per se to farming herself, but she grew up farming with her family. I think she is young and energetic and has some good thoughts about how to balance farmer protections in terms of it's their land with farm preservation, which I know is a hot topic amongst people in the town. So I do feel she might not be the one out on the tractor per se. But I do feel like she could be a voice. And what I really see this as on kind of in the grand scheme of things is we are rebuilding this ag committee. She was looking to join the ag committee as well, and then being that we haven't really seen too many of the people for the comp plans to represent the ag industry, she said she could extend and do both. So then what I would see is we're working with Ty at the ag committee, getting all those voices, making sure we're getting the feedback from the Bergens, the Ostics, the Weatherbys, the Regional Access, the Bet the Farm, all the other farmers who we do have involvement, they just can't commit to meetings. That's the greatest thing that we've been running into is getting them to come to a monthly meeting on a regular basis is not gonna happen, especially the last 3 weeks. They've been, if you're farming, you're out in the fields until midnight every night and back out there at 6.
I just don't think it's a good look to have the same person be on the only ag person being on the both committees. We just,
Yeah, I think that is a benefit. You do think it's a benefit?
no, I don't.
You don't.
I think I just think it doesn't, just looks like you're putting one person into both slots.
No, I mean, it's the same way you'd have like a BZA member or Roxanne representing CSAC. She'd be simply representing the agricultural committee, the same way the other committees are represented.
You know, in a way, she might actually get feedback from others on the ag committee that she could take to the,
That was the idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or about liaison. Both of them. I understand your,
But it wouldn't, she'd only be in one spot on
she's only
Yeah.
one spot.
the ag committee.
Yes.
But she says she doesn't live in the town of Ulysses.
no.
She doesn't?
I believe she lives in Ithaca, but they're moving to, the farm is in the town of Ulysses.
On Willow Creek.
It's on Willow Creek and I guess I didn't ask her whether she was gonna move to it. My thought she was moving to it when I was having some conversations with her.
I think that's a little problematic.
That she doesn't
We
live in
could
the town?
table it. You could ask her what her plans for. I see that she's got a Binghamton that EDU, so I know she teaches
No,
or,
No,
She's got a PhD.
yeah,
well,
She was a
if she.
student.
took a
She
long
just
time,
graduated.
You know, if
PhD
add to
in
the
what?
commute that she's gonna plan on transitioning
Sociology.
the property.
Well, I know the old ag,
Go ahead, Nancy.
I mean, the old ag committee had a specific slot for people who own farmland in the town of
Mhm.
Ulysses, even if they didn't live here. I mean, that's how, Bruce Gates was an active and very effective member of the ag committee because he owned land here, but his dairy operation is in Schuyler County. So I don't know how your ag committee is set up now, but I mean, that had been recognized in the past, but
and I think we're continuing that. The Ostics don't live in the county of Ulysses, the Bergens don't live in Ulysses.
I was gonna
Most
say.
of the land that they
Yeah.
farm, or a lot of the land that they both farm is in the town of Ulysses.
But, yeah, I mean, but I'm envisioning a 20-year comp plan for the future of the town of Ulysses. To have people on it who don't live in Ulysses, I think. Is a little bit of a. Conflict,
I can ask her.
not a conflict, but the stake is different.
Well, if she bought a farm here, she has a tremendous financial stake in here.
You know, that's it. Yeah, but the Bergens and the other big farmers, they don't live here. What do they care about our comp plan? They just want to farm though.
Well, they want to make sure that their land stays the way that they.
From a commercial standpoint, not from a living standpoint, it's a different thing.
Her mother lives on the farm,
Who does?
the Ty's
I'm not
mom.
talking about.
Oh, okay,
talking
but
about
like,
the
I mean, I think she
Well,
very
and
much,
they're not joining.
Yeah.
They're joining, they want to join the
ag committee.
but not the comp plan. That's
Right.
why, when we've been working through the contacts with the ags, Ty has come up. About being a good potential for the ag representative on the comp plan.
So is your role? You have a dual role. I forget what the paper was. Are you the ag liaison then?
She's the ag liaison for the town board. She's not the ag liaison for the comp plan steering committee.
She has.
I am listed as an ag.
Well, that's because you're bringing an ag background also.
yeah.
From that old Weatherby family.
Veterinarian.
We have plenty of people here in the town. That. Are landowners. But I did it. You know, that you could be a liaison to. You know, just keep feeding them the information back, you know, if you had a. You know, like an email blast or something.
Yeah,
'Cause
I
It
mean,
was tough before to get ag input. Until
It's-
we stirred the pot and then they came out, but,
I mean,
it's-
it's just the nature of farming.
oh, right,
It's
yeah. I
hard.
get that, yeah.
So, but I mean, with the ag committee trying to be reinstated and starting up again, I mean, that's the intent is to get opinions shared across town board, the ag committee, the farmers.
Right.
To the comp plan and anything else that we can honestly get their opinions on.
Well, and
So-
it sounds to me like there has been a tremendous amount of outreach to the farming community. I think it sends a really bad message that the one person who applies from the farming community is denied.
Oh, no, I don't think we should deny her.
So that would, to me, said a really bad message that I'm not comfortable sending.
She did join in at the meeting last week too, so she heard firsthand. To the comp plan steering committee,
Right.
she did listen in. So she knows what we're gonna be talking about and she knows what the involvement is gonna be. And she's ready to take it on, and I think that in itself. I'd like to try to take advantage of because we're not Willow Creek.
It's on Willow
It's
Creek.
on Willow Creek Road.
Yeah, well, and I think it's important too, is this is an advisory committee. The town board will continue to get to,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, so it's not that you're turning over it's not that I don't think that the position doesn't matter. I think it does matter. But I don't think her residency necessarily, when she has a vested history she's from the town. She might, she went to school, but,
She went to Ithaca, but she knows, she hung out to.
well, yeah, she's in
And she
Ithaca
bought
School
this farm
District.
in the town of Ulysses, so it's not like she's gonna be coming and leaving in 2
Yeah,
years.
that's fine with it.
She bought it as investment, as a history, family history to protect the farm and keep it in her family, so. She has a perspective on the town.
And that's no small achievement these days. I mean, farming's changing so rapidly. Now the Bergen zone, I think 10% of farmland. That's the kind of farming we're seeing in Schuyler County. I was talking to a dairy farmer. And when she was growing up, there were 90 dairy farms. There are 3 left.
Yeah.
That's the consolidation. We're seeing just a huge evolution in what farming looks like. And so I think if we could, in some ways, I think she might be an ideal to connect both the older generation of farming with what we're seeing in some wonderful new startup farming, like the apiary in Ulysses. I think frankly, I think that's in a large measure might be the future of farming. Land's really expensive.
Yep.
So that high intensity usage. So. Well, I would move, I'm gonna move this resolution, resolve that Ulysses Town Board appoints the following individuals to the comprehensive plan steering committee for the duration of the project. Ty Basilis, is there a second? Second. Any further discussion or comment? All those in favor? Aye.
Okay.
About to say opposed?
Opposed. Yeah, I can't. The fact that she doesn't live in the town, I think is really bad. Precedent for really the importance of ag in town releases.
We'll find out if she's moving.
Okay. Thank you. That brings us to the revised highway agreement. Back at our organizational meeting in January, we approved, a 284, a highway 284 agreement. If anybody wants to look at it, the revised version is here. Rich, I'll pass that around. We originally, because in January, you don't have your, as my former supervisors will know, you don't actually have the CHIPS money from New York State. They have not given you an allocation yet, a firm allocation. So we had budgeted for $190,000. The new CHIPS allocation came out. And in your, I need to make a slight tweak to your resolution. The resolution should read 246,597.93. So it got rounded up. Apologies. It was off by, it's 7 cents less than what is posted. So it's 246,597.93.
We're expecting 180.
We budgeted for 190. We always budget conservatively because I mean, in some ways, it does, the budgeting doesn't quite matter because you either get it, or you don't get it. So yeah, we can sign it. This is the one signed. Yep. Yep, all signed, please. So I'll make a motion on the revised 284. Is there a second?
Good.
Any further discussion or comment? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you.
Aye.
Great. I was about to ask for nays. I'm like, you're signing it, so I get the impression you're okay with it.
I can't hand the paper. In. Yeah, it's,
So the, if you will recall, at our previous meeting in May, one of the vouchers got pulled out. And the voucher got pulled out, and it was my fault that it happened. Basically, it's not my fault it got pulled out. It's my fault it got put in before a resolution was put in. So in our organizational meeting, we approved cell phone reimbursement, or the provision of actual cell phones, to building code and zoning enforcement officer, and the highway superintendent and the water district operator. Because these are individuals who are routinely using their phones outside of office hours. So right now, we don't actually have a water operator. We have 2 individuals who are going through the certification process right now. They took their training in October. They can become certified as water operators in this coming October, but in the interim, they're working under Scott in his role as a water supervisor, and they're working under his license. Dave, who is the deputy superintendent, he's one of the individuals who went through the training. He's been doing a lot of the work, and it would be very useful in his capacity in water for him to be eligible also for the cell phone reimbursement. I didn't double check the resolution, told Scott just to submit it because it made sense to me. And then we realized, of course, that his position is not approved. So for the balance of this year, because this is something that gets done every single year, so it's only good for the duration of this year. I would move that we include the deputy highway superintendent in this position in the reimbursement for the cell phone.
second.
Any further discussion or question?
Does that start May or April or January, or when does it?
I think it's effective
It's
this month. Yeah, we could do it from January if you want me to amend that. It's
I was
not.
just curious.
So
$40.
it's $40 a month, which is cheaper to do than providing a
Right.
cell phone. So we're happy when everybody takes that option. Maybe I include retroactively approved to January 2022 or 2023.
Yeah, so I assume he's
Sure
been doing
does.
it right along.
Thank you. He has.
Yeah.
And I'm actually I think we might want to think about doing it permanently for that position, the deputy highway superintendent, just because Dave really is a very critical supervisor. And does use his cell phone even when he's not just doing water, but we can talk about that in January. Okay, so there's
Anything
been,
a second to the friendly amendment?
yes, would you say that'd be great?
Second to the friendly amendment.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Thank you. Well, we are cooking with fire, which means something's gonna slow us down. Next, it's when you think you're doing well. So the next up is a resolution approving the approval to fly the pride flag in June 2023. Before we delve into that, I would like to note to the board that I noted that our American flag is in disreputable looking shape. It's starting to fray, and so I'm going to get a new one for the town. And I already talked to the scouts at Barton in the summer do a flag retirement ceremony, and they are always looking for people willing to donate flags. And so I talked to them about doing a flag retirement ceremony, and I'd be happy to invite the board and the public if they would like to come to it.
They have a watch fire in Lansing.
They do that also. Yep.
Yeah. That one.
Caitlin, we might have an extra flag.
Oh.
I was trying to get two, so we have one ready. I
Wonderful.
can check tomorrow.
That would be great. Thank you. Before I order one, I would appreciate that. Not really on the agenda, but flag related. So I would move that per the flag policy that we fly the pride flag for the month of June 2023 in accordance with our policy.
Second.
Is there any comment or discussion?
Yeah, I just have a question. So I thought it was in policy that we would fly the flag. So,
I was gonna ask the same thing. Just a process
do we
question.
need to approve this every year?
So we have been doing an approval for all of them. I would have to go back and review the flag policy specifically. I did not do that right before this meeting. I was under the impression that it has to be approved each time.
Oh,
We have designated ones though, so it's can pull from the
Yeah, I
list.
didn't think we needed to.
yeah, I thought it would
It
just
was,
happen.
it was, yeah, exactly. I thought it was just gonna.
Like-
happen.
Well, I will review the policy. Let's
Okay.
do this one tonight, and then I will review the policy, and if we can do that in the future, I'm totally cool with that.
Say you start.
Exactly, and if it doesn't say that, we could modify the flag policy to say that.
Yeah.
If that's the
Some have
sentiment.
certain standard ones.
Yeah, we do have
Yeah.
certain standard
Right,
ones
that's
that we
my
could.
policy approved, so that we could just.
I would be delighted to do that. I will bring that back. I will report back on flags. At our next meeting.
Should we approve this though?
It doesn't hurt to approve this. That way we can,
June 1st, we could put the flag up.
exactly, yeah. We don't want to be till June 13th that I can report back. So it certainly wouldn't hurt anything to do this. I think frankly, it's nice to remember that we're doing it. So I've moved it, Liz has seconded it. Is there any further comment or discussion? All those in favor?
Right.
Aye. Thank you very much. Okay. We got the information back from, as reported at the last town board meeting. We received $15,000 for to subsidize our summer camp enrollment for 2023 through the Tompkins County COVID relief funds. We received the money, or we have been granted the money, and this is simply a resolution accepting the $15,000. Pretty simple. I will move that resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
Any comments or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. And then, we have talked, this is comes up, periodically, and most recently came up in budgeting, is, the deficiencies, the long-term deficiencies in our rear parking area. The highway department, for a very reasonable cost of less than $1,000, cold patched the biggest holes and issues. Obviously, it's a long-term issue that needs to be solved. We internally feel that we have the capacity to do 2 CFA grants. This year, 1 CFA grant is going to be for the Black Diamond Trail, which we're already in process with, working with Barton Wood Judas on the extension for that. And that's crunching along, and it looks like timing wise, it should work out for a CFA round. The CFA grants were just announced last week. The deadline's near the end of July. Going after 2 CFA grants last year, and we were fortunate to get both of them. Wanted to bring the idea before I brought you a gatekeepers resolution to see. Just wanted to, before we spent any real time on this. We were wondering your feedback or thoughts on applying for design and construction for a sustainable redevelopment of the back parking lot. And paying for the, basically, we would need some early design and grant writing assistance on an application. At this juncture, we have not yet identified if there is a grant well suited for that. We will do more research in that process, but if the board is like, no, let's not do that. We did allocate $8,000 to an engineering line for this kind of project. And we talked about back in budget season, we did talk about proceeding in some direction with design work for the back parking lot. So I would bring a gatekeepers resolution in June if this is something the board is interested in doing. If not, I will go look for another option.
How does this relate to the multiple ownership of the parking lot?
It would all have to be legally resolved. And the details of that, we would have to, frankly, I didn't want to involve our attorney and spend money on that if we were not touching this anytime soon. So that would have to be resolved. And grant money wouldn't be used on that part. So.
Can we just get a couple of estimates so we can see ballpark what we're talking about?
The problem with getting the estimates, which is challenging, is we're not sure it's going to need to be a design space because of the water issues related to it. I've talked to multiple people about permeable pavement. The state park hates their permeable pavement.
Yes.
Yes, it's incredibly expensive and they're super dissatisfied. And the idea behind the parking lot was not just, it was like $100,000 just to repave it, like just do a basic repaving. We could do that, but what the board talked about before was wanting a design that was actually going to slow down water, do some kind of water retention. That's really hard to bid because we don't have a design, or even, I don't know, other than, hey, we want to slow down water. I can't really tell.
But I think just get 3 prices of replace it in kind, before the paving season comes.
Okay, yeah, the most recent one, I haven't done one for this one. If that's what the board wants to do, we could just do that. We're gonna most likely not. Does that mean you don't want to get a grant for it?
No,
Is that-
just so we know what we're talking.
Okay,
We're
sure.
talking $25,000.
We also need lighting back there. It's terrible at night
It is terrible at night.
and it's dangerous.
It is.
Especially with the EV charge.
Yeah. Our last estimate, and I think it's about 18 months old, was when Scott got it. Oh, it's not even 18 months old. It's less than a year old. It was $100,000 to repave it.
Crazy.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem.
It's nuts.
That was just our portion?
No.
It was all of it, because you can't only repave part of
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
It just wouldn't be paid for, but most of it would probably end up being ours. So,
So I think the line up the center of the driveway.
Yeah,
You-
Peter Walsh actually, as
Yeah,
the
because we got a
previous
survey
town
when we did this.
attorney, actually did a document to parcel that out with a map and everything, because when the building next to us was being sold, they needed to have that sorted. And so it's on file somewhere, but I think, yes.
yeah, we have it. This was just a real tentative. I'm gonna throw this on here to have a conversation. I have done no intense research. Frankly, if you don't want to take it up for 5 years when someone else is town supervisor, it's totally fine with me. This is,
No, I think just some estimates to get it, and then, because I'd hate to burn up more on Michelle's time, for the grant, if we're getting $10,000 on, on a $20,000 job, or what it looks like. I think it'll put it into context and know what we're talking about.
Is there any, while we're doing that, spend a little time looking at the grants? Cause there might be some specific grants about
That's-
green infrastructure versus just replacement in kind that might be better suited for what our ultimate goal would be. Is there like some, without spending too much of Michelle's time, cause I know she's really busy.
Well, no, that's actually, she and I are we came up with this and it was, I didn't want her spending time on going down a rabbit hole and the board is like, no, this is a dumb rabbit hole. We're not interested in this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
Go do something else. So I just wanted to float this. It sounds like there is some degree of interest.
Yeah,
So we could do some degree of exploration and come back to you and
I think we all, I mean, don't we all want a reasonable parking lot type thing
I think it's, yeah,
with lighting?
yeah.
lighting would be really nice. It gets very dark here,
Yeah,
at like
that's
5:30 in
some
the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, we'll do some exploring and bring you back when we find out.
Maybe motion detector lighting.
Yeah,
Excellent.
Dark skies compliant.
What?
Dark sky
Right.
compliant.
Okay, we'll come back on there. So before we go to item F, land update, I would like to move into an executive session for the purposes involving the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person's or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment of employment, promotion, demotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation, as well as an executive session related to the proposed acquisition, sale, or lease of real property when that conversation could financially impact the town. There's limited ways you can do real property discussion. And this, I cleared it with Nate that this conversation does.
right.
So I'll move that executive session. The intention of it is not to take any action. The town board will come back into public session. We're gonna go into another room. We have to. Because we're under recording here. So, thank you, Nick. So I'll move that. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye, thank you. Okay, we are back. I will accept a motion to come out of executive session. Is there a second? Lots of seconds. All those in favor? Aye. The town board was in executive session and took no action. We are coming back and resuming our conversation on the land update is the next item on the agenda. Just wanted to give you, because I had some questions from the board. We have been continuing to work with Trumansburg Community Rec on exploring land possibilities. But I don't have any substantive updates to give on that, but we have continued the communication. And the reason we're continuing to the conversation is because the town did not get, we put in a purchase offer for about 13.25 acres on Route 96, and we were essentially outbid for it. And so the seller went with another property owner or another purchaser. So that is over, but still working with TCR. Any questions on that? Okay. Upcoming events, next Monday is Memorial Day. I drove by the cemetery on my way here and was happy to see the flags that the town contributes to were being put up for Memorial Day. That's something that we support financially. Town buildings will be closed. Next Wednesday, the 31st, is when we're gonna have our public information session on the potential Route 96 water extension. I wondered how many town board members were interested in attending, because if we have at least 3, then we need to turn it into a just for transparency purposes. It's gonna be recorded. You can attend via Zoom if you want. But
It's here.
it'll be here. Yep. So if 3, it's not a big deal. If 3 want to attend, we would just call the meeting to order and, go through the process are 3 of you
Kind of
interested?
interested in coming
Yeah,
just to
I
hear
thought it
things.
might,
Yeah, I'm just thinking of
Sounds great.
listening.
We will schedule it we will schedule that as a,
and especially if you can attend remotely.
do you have extenuating circumstances?
Oh.
So it would be 5 days in advance.
No, that's okay. I mean, I just. You know, if I wanted to like.
Your husband wanted you.
Yeah, we're not gonna take, the town's not gonna take any action. I just wanted to double check. We could probably even legally skip doing it, but I think it's just better to be upfront about that. Okay. And then, yep, that'll be at 6 PM and the public can attend remotely or in person. In relation to that, I just wanted to let the town board know that the grassroots property is along that extension, potential extension, and they have indicated that they will be attending. I can also tell you that their attorney, they hired an attorney in Ithaca, who has worked with our attorney to develop a petition, independent of this, of Route 96, to develop a petition forming a water district. This will be it. They went through a similar process after the Falls Road Water District failed. And our attorney worked with their attorney and they have a good draft of the petition itself. They do need to figure out their engineering documents associated with the map and plan associated with it. So that's in their hands, but this is just a kind of an early, hey, you might be seeing a water district.
Was that effort for 96 or for Falls Road
This would be a connector. To my understanding, it'll be a connector on Falls Road.
that they're
To
working?
the village.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it would be a water district 5. Potential. So, and they would be doing it under water law where they have the right to request it. And there's a legal process that we go through. It's not, that process is not discretionary in the same way. That the other way of doing water districting is when the town board takes the action. But that was just I don't have anything, I don't know when it's coming to us, but I would anticipate it's coming to us in the relatively near future. Meeting on the 13th of June is our regular meeting, and then Juneteenth will be closed on June 19th as well. Then approval of the minutes. I did not print a hard copy, but we circulated Chris's minutes from May 9th. Did anybody have any alterations they wish to make?
No.
Okay, then we will accept a motion to approve the meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Payment of audited claims. So we have one voucher. This is, which it looks like everybody has reviewed. This is for, actually, I'm authorizing signature on that. Sorry about that. And this is for the payment, $10,000 payment for the startup contribution from Ulysses to the Three Falls LLC. If the board remembers correctly, we actually approved $20,000. But at this juncture, each community is going to do $10,000 and hopefully don't have to spend any more, but we might have to. So we're only asking for half the money now.
Is Covert in?
Covert is in, Seneca County is funding Covert's contribution out of their tourism money. Yep. So, I'm sorry.
Are they asking for anything in return?
Oh, I'm sure, but that's their problem, not ours.
They're not asking for.
They don't have-
Voting numbers.
But
Or the
could-
LLC,
over
right?
board could-
They could turn
they
over
could-
seats,
they could
yeah.
turn over seats.
They could choose, Covert's board could choose to appoint 2 people from Seneca County.
Right.
To be their people. They haven't, but they could, but. That is a Covert, I'm glad I'm out of that one, so, but they're paying for it out of their tourism, their bed tax, Seneca County bed tax. So, any questions about that?
Haley, did you say what number voucher and what?
Oh. No, I haven't, hold on, give me a second to get to my resolutions. It's for $10,000 and it's voucher number 219. So I'll move that payment. All those in favor? Aye. And I did this out of order because I probably shouldn't have, sorry about that. Whoops, I should have done budget modification first. I think I put it out of order on the, I'm sorry, I'm just doing it out of order. The budget modification reflects the payment. And so it's coming out of contingency in the A fund. Does anybody need a copy of that breakdown? Did you get one? Yes. So, I would make a motion to approve the 2023 budget modification, as presented. Is there a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Okey dokey. And that brings us back, all the way back to privilege of the floor. As you, as our only member of the public, is there anything, everybody else abandoned us?
Say something too, I guess. But Anyway, yeah, I just have a couple of things, one of which is I just wanna, when you were talking about the sustainable design water issue with the parking lot, I could ask, if you like, the person who's the watershed manager for Cuba Lake, who pays, is like really, one of her jobs is really looking for all different kinds of grant opportunities and anything that can help municipalities at all. So she might, just in her tracking of these things, have some idea of something that can fit with that. So
If you, yeah, if you could reach out to Erin, that'd be great.
with her about that.
Yeah, thank you.
And I think that was another thing. No, I just wanted to reiterate that, I think I brought this up before when I was on the board, about the ag, when you were talking about the ag committee and I think, yeah, as you were talking about the types of small farms, like I tried several of those people, I brought them the application, I really tried to talk them into it, and they're all just really busy, but you know, in some of the conversation I had, and some were with active people farming fields, you know, for organics and things like that, like I got interesting information from the conversation, but they really didn't want to join a committee, not anything, and commit to the time as was on your hearing. So I think, you know, we can have targeted, like roundtable meetings and get
Absolutely.
the ag community, all the different parts, to hear from them all, because you know, once we start doing that with the comp plan, and then I think, you know, that amount of time they'd be willing to put in, and just even having some individual conversations and bringing that information back might be really a way to get the broad scale perspective, because I think, as you said, it's changing, and
Yes, yeah.
and it's really, I mean, it's important to understand all the different components of it when we think about land use 20 years into the future.
Absolutely.
And what residents want, what farmers want, what makes sense, what can work. So it is, I think we should try a bunch of different ways to get outreach, but it's really hard to get somebody to be on the committee.
Well, thank you for validating that.
No,
Because
I'm sympathizing.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like that, yeah.
No, I think focus groups will be a very good way to get
Right.
that expertise without a huge time commitment.
Yeah.
So.
And just going out and if you have to, he's talking to individuals and bringing, you know, having some of the committee people just go out, people they know, and just
Yeah, absolutely.
bringing it back. So just any way that we can get it, because as Michael said, with the zoning update committee, when that all got added on to more people later, part of it was the agricultural community felt very unheard and unhappy, and it made sort of a kind of an almost poisoned atmosphere that made it very hard to bring everybody into a positive conversation. And so we really don't want that to happen.
Every time. Well, I think all those conversations, even if they weren't successful in getting somebody on the committee, the people are now aware of it,
Right. yeah, we're
and
doing that,
we can
yeah.
stay connected to them now throughout the process in a way that, you know,
Right.
will hopefully.
Mhm.
I can guarantee you there'll be complaints at the end of this process.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
That's guaranteed, but if we can at least bandage some of the ones that we know could be issues, I think we're all to the better in the community. So excellent. Well, thank you for your help on that as always. Okay,
And I support the pride flag.
wonderful.
Finally, there's no flag issue this year. It just, yes.
Wonderful, thank you.
Anyway, thanks.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Thank you, everybody. Pleasure as always.
I did have a question. When is the material gonna be out that's gonna be presented for the water?
I think it's going to,